February is Black History Month, a time to recognize, celebrate, and honor the rich and diverse history and important contributions of African Americans. The Sacramento Library wants to help spread the word. Here to fill us in on how the Sacramento Public Library is promoting Black History Month is Justin Azevedo. And welcome to the show, Justin.
Thank you.
So why is the library a great place to go, when you want to study anything, but in particular Black History Month?
So the library is about stories, right? We collect and offer as many stories as we can. The thing about Black History Month for books for kids, or in an educational context, is that we tend to get really narrowly focused on slavery and civil rights, which are important. They're relevant stories, but there's so many stories. There's other histories that connect to today. There's joyful stories that celebrate and elevate Black culture, and then there are just stories about anything, but that too rarely feature a Black child or a Black family. So if we can get into the habit of searching that wide variety of stories, we get closer to a mindset of where we should be, which is celebrating these stories all the time.
Right, lots of wonderful Black authors, and as you mentioned, different characters and things like that, beyond, I guess, the history you immediately think of.
Sure.
You've brought a few books here that celebrate Black history, celebrate Black History Month. Why don't you talk about what you brought in?
Yes, so the first one I wanted to talk about is Undefeated, which is by Kwame Alexander and Kadir Nelson. It won all the awards last month.
All the awards.
All the awards, Coretta Scott King, Newbery, Caldecott. And it is basically a paean to Black history and Black America. It starts with an image of Jesse Owens and traces athletes from him and Jack Johnson all the way through to LeBron and Serena Williams. Features artists, singers, activists. It does mention, it does mention it memorializes slavery and civil rights, but it also connects it through today by featuring Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, and it ends on a picture of Black children, the Undefeated. This is for us.
Oh, that sounds like one we definitely need to check out.
Yes, lots of history in the back, and it reads like a bedtime story, so it's good for history, and it's also good for just reading together.
Great. What else do you have?
I brought, let's see what else I got. I have, over there is Sulwe by Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes,
you might
the
recognize
actress.
by the actress, and you might recognize her from Star Wars, from Us. And she wrote that book because she, as a child, felt insecure about her dark skin, and she wanted to write a book for children like her.
I love the illustration on the cover.
Yeah, it's illustrated by Vashti Harrison. And it is about a Black child who feels insecure about her skin, so she asks her mom about it, and her mom tells her a fable about sisters Night and Day, beautifully illustrated, and it's about how Night is jealous of Day until she realizes that she's the most beautiful when it's the most dark, because that's when you can see the stars. That's why she's named Sulwe, because Sulwe means star.
And it's great to have all these different books because, kids can see themselves, and there's all kinds of different people, and so it's nice they can kind of find themselves in some of these books. What about Genesis Begins?
Genesis Begins Again. So speaking of colorism, which is part of Sulwe, Genesis Begins Again is the same sort of story for an older audience. It's a middle grade novel, a book about self-esteem and coming of age for a young Black girl. So it's a story about self-esteem and becoming who you are, but it's also a story about overcoming internalized prejudice that she picks up from her father and her grandmother. So it's a story that will be particularly resonant and authentic to certain teens and tweens, because it's a story that is about prejudice coming from the context within the African American community.
And so this would be a teen and tween book, is that what you said?
Yes, definitely for middle grade, younger teens, and it's also a absolutely heartbreaking and powerful story. It also won all the awards for debut author.
Another award winner book. Okay. Yep. And this one is Crown, an ode to the fresh cut. Actually, my boys just got a haircut the other day.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring hair love.
Maybe I should get them something like that.
I wanted a book called Hair Love because it just won. It's based off of an animated short that just won an Academy Award.
Yes.
Couldn't bring it because it's too popular. It's all checked out. So I brought Crown instead. That's from a few years ago. Also won all the awards, and it's one that I recommend all the time because it is also about celebrating natural Black hair. It's told in the second story to a Black boy coming into the barber shop and saying, when you get that fresh fade, maybe some art in the side, get your lines cleaned up, just like that man over there with the locks, that man over there with the fade, you're going to look good. The girls are going to be looking at you.
Oh my goodness.
You're going to pass that test. It is
just to make them feel
pure joy. It's a book just for anybody really, but especially for little Black boys who they need someone's looking for a book for them. I always make sure parents and grandparents know about it because I've read that book multiple times, and I've got a giant smile on my face by the time I get to
Well, Justin, these are some great suggestions, and I'm sure you have so many more. So just head on down to the library. Justin can help you find whatever book you're looking for. And he'll also have some great suggestions. You can get all the information at saclibrary.com. Thanks for being here.
Sure.
This interview involves commercial content. The products and services featured appear as paid advertising.